helicopters.
Dozens killed in a crash between an Army helicopter and a passenger jet.
The D.C. plane crash. What could have caused this mid-air collision? We talked to local pilots about what investigators are looking for.
The impact the deadly crash is having on our local skating community.
We talked to two people directly affected during San Diego's point-in-time count. Details coming up.
With the bird flu spreading, we got tips on how to keep your backyard chickens safe. And is it okay to eat an egg from a sick bird? We have the answer.
Dozens of ADUs on one lot. That's what neighbors in Encanto say is happening here, and they're not happy about it. I'm Shannon Handy with that story coming up.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts right now.
As we come on the air tonight, federal investigators are working to figure out what led up to the nation's deadliest air disaster in nearly a quarter of a century. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carla Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. 67 people were killed when an Army Black Hawk helicopter and a passenger jet collided in the skies above Washington, D.C. It happened last night as American Airlines Flight 5342 from Wichita, Kansas was about to land at Reagan National Airport. Recovery efforts continued on the Potomac River today, where both aircraft fell into after the crash.
A source familiar with the investigation confirms the black boxes from the jet have been recovered. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation into the collision.
Part of any investigation, we look at the human, the machine, and the environment. So we will look at all the humans that were involved in this accident.
CBS News has confirmed one air traffic control worker was managing the helicopters and planes. That's a job normally done by two people. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at the final moments before that mid-air collision.
CBS 8's Brian White talked with two pilots with more than 60 years of combined flight experience.
First of all, it is a tragedy. Anytime something like this happens.
Federal investigators trying to piece together the moments before the collision, hoping the black box flight recorder will shed light on exactly what happened.
There's a whole bunch of puzzle pieces that go into even just one flight, and what puzzle pieces were missing, that caused this mid-air collision.
Jim Kidrick is president and CEO of San Diego's Air and Space Museum. He was a Navy pilot for 21 years and says investigators will be looking at everything, including maintenance logs for both aircraft, as well as the type and intensity of the training that was happening aboard the Army helicopter.
They're doing these operations every day. They've done them every day for the last year, every day for the last 5 years, with nothing happening. So what's missing that caused something like this to happen?
Minutes before the crash, air traffic control diverted the American Airlines pilot to runway 33, changing the path of the plane's approach further east.
Approaching runway 33 is, in my opinion, dangerous because it takes aircraft in too close a proximity to where helicopters are normally operating.
Commercial pilot and flight instructor for more than 40 years, Robert Katz, listened to the air traffic control audio from the moments leading up.
The helicopter pilot failed to follow through. The pilot says, "I have the aircraft in sight," but then he didn't maintain separation.
We know the 3 service members aboard the Black Hawk helicopter were on a night flight training mission, and Katz believes they may have been distracted.
There had to be conversation going on between the 3 of them when somebody's attention was distracted away from keeping eyes on the American Airlines jet landing on runway 33.
According to an FAA report obtained by the Associated Press, air traffic control staffing at the Reagan Airport was, quote, not normal at the time of the crash, with one controller doing the work of 2 people. It's just one of the many things investigators are looking at.
We don't need to be in a hurry, because we want to find the correct answer. Our bottom line goal is, let's not have this happen again.
NTSB says they're working to issue a preliminary report on their investigation within 30 days. Brian White, CBS 8.
Thanks, Brian. Tonight, the figure skating community is in mourning from the unthinkable loss.
14 members of their tight-knit family, including young stars, parents, and coaches, were killed when their plane collided with that military helicopter. CBS 8's Abby Black shows us how local skaters are processing this news.
Tonight at the San Diego Ice Arena, coaches are turning their grief into grace as news of the tragic crash involving U.S. figure skaters rippled through their community. One instructor tells me that he's using the very ice that his fellow athletes loved as a space for healing and remembrance. For Bob Peloton, a 1990s U.S. figure skating gold medalist, the familiar sound of blades on ice now carries a heavier weight.
God, I mean, it's just what a loss.
The senior coach at San Diego Ice Arena learned 14 skaters, including 2 rising stars, were aboard American Airlines Flight 5342 when it collided with a Black Hawk helicopter near Reagan International Airport in Washington, D.C.
To lose them in such an impact, it's crazy. I mean, I wanted to come in and all I could think about is having a moment of silence with everybody.
The Skating Club of Boston confirmed 6 of its members were returning from the U.S. Championships. Among them, teenagers Spencer Lane and Gina Hahn. Their mothers and renowned coaches, married couple Vadim Navov and Evgenia Shishkova, the 1994 world champions. Club of Boston member Misha Mitrofanov won the U.S. Figure Skating Championship in Wichita last week. Tonight, he spoke about the tremendous loss.
This is something that will take a lot of time for us to process, and it will never be the same, but they will always be remembered.
This tragedy echoes a dark chapter in figure skating history, the 1961 plane crash that killed the entire U.S. world team. Half of them were from the Club of Boston. Today, Olympic medalist Nancy Kerrigan joined others there to mourn a part of a new generation lost.
But I feel for the athletes, the skaters, their families, but anyone that was on that plane, because it's just such a tragic event. And we've been through tragedies before as Americans, as people, and we are strong.
A memorial grows at Virginia's Ashburn Ice House. General Manager Rob Lorenzen says some of his members were on the same flight, including a coach.
It's a shame that the community has to experience this, and the potential of several individuals no longer participating, it leaves a void.
With each graceful turn, these skaters carry forward the dreams of those they lost.
What we need is to keep moving forward and think of these kids and the families.
In Mira Mesa, Abby Black, CBS 8.
We'll have the latest information posted on CBS8.com. You can also follow us on social media or download the free CBS 8 app.
San Diego's annual point-in-time count of the homeless population took place this morning. The yearly count, mandated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, provides an estimate of the number of people throughout San Diego County living on the streets and in shelters.
CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes talked with a mom and her daughter who are homeless right now and joins us live with more. Kirsten.
Yeah, I'm here in the East Village of downtown San Diego, near Father Joe's Villages, a resource and shelter for those experiencing homelessness. Like you said, Carlo, I talked to a mom and her daughter who say they moved to San Diego back in 2022 and they had a place in Chula Vista, but when the rent got too expensive, they had to move out. What is it like to live this life?
It's hard. It's rough on everybody, actually. It's ruthless out here.
Asha and her mom Janet say this isn't the life they chose. Some nights, they have to sleep in their tent.
They would stop and they would throw eggs at us. And they would throw rotten milk at us. They would actually mix the egg and the milk and they would throw them at us. And it'd be really cold, so you just gotta have a lot of blankets. And there's usually other people, homeless people around that will assist and help us. We're lucky. No, we're lucky, because compared to a lot of other homeless people, they have one blanket.
Lately, they say they've been lucky enough to have a shelter bed, but they had to be separated from Asha's brother, Janet's son, because he has to stay somewhere else.
God is answering the cries of the poor. We should not be homeless. The people you see on these streets should not be homeless.
The shelters are full. We need more shelter beds.
City Council member Stephen Whitburn volunteered for the annual point-in-time count in Hillcrest. He says he saw fewer people sleeping on the streets early Thursday morning.
I heard from a couple others they're not interested in a shelter bed. They weren't aware of the safe sleeping sites that we have, the safe campsites.
Karina Hernandez is with Homestart. They focus their efforts in El Cajon. Karina says the count also conducts a survey asking questions about substance abuse, disabilities, health issues, and how long one has experienced homelessness.
If they completed the survey, they were allowed to get a $10 gift card. And then if they didn't want to be interviewed by someone who was collecting the data, they were just tallied so that they could be included in the count.
Asha and Janet say besides the clothes on their back and what they have in their backpacks, they and others like them rely on their faith in God to get them through when the generosity of people falls short.
They're left on the side of the road, you know. Nobody's helping them in the way that they need to actually be helped. They're left to their own devices. They're left to die on the streets. And nobody cares. I see people in wheelchairs all the time that has no family and have nobody helping them. Who is supposed to help that person in the wheelchair?
So let's take a look at the numbers. In 2023, San Diego County saw more than 10,200 people experiencing homelessness. In 2024, that number rose to more than 10,600 people living on our streets. You can find this data on our website, CBS8.com. Reporting for CBS 8, I'm Kirsten Holmes. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Kirsten. The ribbon cutting for a new senior affordable housing complex in Claremont happened today. This is the first phase of a 404-unit project that will also feature housing options for families. Today's grand opening focused on the 79-unit senior housing complex that will be operated by Serving Seniors. The long-term goal is to transform this complex into a multi-generational community. The complex that opened today will provide housing and food for people in need who are aged 55 or older. Two young girls who police say were kidnapped by their father in Central California after their mother was killed have been found safe. Their abduction prompted an Amber Alert across Central and Southern California. Perhaps you got that alert. The Kings County Sheriff says the girls' father shot and killed their mother before he took off with them. Investigators used cell phone data to track his location to Mexico. After some negotiating, the man surrendered, turning over his daughters this morning at the San Ysidro Port of Entry, and he was arrested.
Southern California's water use is now at a record low.
We'll have those details still ahead. Plus, we're explaining how people with a backyard chicken flock can ensure they are safe from the ongoing bird flu outbreak.
And the community health concerns from people who live near a federally proposed site to temporarily store hazardous wildfire debris.
High pressure builds over the weekend, but onshore flow picks up next week, and we're talking about cool, cloudy, and even a chance for some showers. All those details are coming up.